You didn't notice when it started the quiet shift inside you. It wasn't dramatic, no lightning bolt, no loud revelation. Just a slow burn, like a candle melting down to its core. You woke up one day and something felt gone. The version of you that once cared too much, chased too hard, explained too often, gone. The noise of the world still echoed, but it no longer reached you the same way. That's when it began, the irreversible transformation. It doesn't happen when life is kind. It happens when life rips you apart in ways you never saw coming. When trust turns into betrayal, when love becomes a lesson, when the ones you die for are the ones who kill your peace first. That's the real awakening, the kind that doesn't glow but bleeds. You break so deeply that the pieces that fall away are the ones that were never truly you. Itachi knew that pain. He didn't just walk through darkness, he became it. Not because he wanted to, but because he had to. He made choices that no one could understand, carrying weights that would destroy most men. He bore the hatred of the very people he loved. And yet, even through all of it, he never lost his calm. That's the kind of strength you don't learn from winning. You learn it from surviving what should have destroyed you. That's why you'll never be the same again. Because once you've seen the world for what it really is, raw, unfair, unpredictable, you stop expecting it to save you. You stop begging life to make sense. You stop looking for mercy where there is none. And in that acceptance, you become something unbreakable. You stop chasing validation and start living from purpose. You stop reacting to everything and begin observing instead. You become silent, but sharper, calm, but unstoppable. You've changed in ways you can't even explain to people anymore. The things that used to make you angry now only make you tired. The people who used to control your emotions now barely cross your mind. You've become allergic to chaos, not because you fear it, but because you've lived in it long enough to know it leads nowhere. That's evolution, not the kind they teach in books, but the kind your soul earns through fire. Itachi didn't seek revenge for his suffering. He sought peace, but peace has a price, and few are willing to pay it. It requires detachment from people, from the past, from who you thought you were supposed to be. It means walking away not because you stopped caring, but because you finally love yourself enough to stop bleeding for what doesn't grow you. That's the hardest part, realizing that growth isn't always about adding more. Sometimes it's about letting go. And letting go changes you. You stop explaining your silence. You stop proving your worth. You stop trying to convince others of your intentions. Because when you've walked through fire, you understand that truth doesn't need to shout. It simply is. You've been through enough storms to recognize what peace feels like. And you'd rather lose everything than lose that again. You've begun to see people differently now. You don't judge them, you understand them. Their cruelty is protection, their arrogance is fear, their distance is pain. You no longer take it personally because you've been there. You've worn those masks too. That's another way you've changed. Compassion has replaced your anger. You don't seek revenge, you seek distance. You don't crave attention, you crave meaning. You've become too deep for shallow waters. Itachi once said, "Those who cannot acknowledge themselves will eventually fail." And maybe that's why your old self had to die, because you were living for everyone but you. You were pretending to be strong when you were breaking inside. You were giving while empty, smiling while hurting, staying silent while screaming in your head. That's why you'll never be the same again. because this time you're no longer hiding behind the mask. You're no longer the person who needs to be understood. You've outgrown the need to be liked, to be chosen, to be saved. You've realized that not everyone will see your heart, and that's okay. It's not meant for everyone. Some people will only recognize your silence, not your pain. Some will only remember your mistakes, not your effort. But none of that defines you anymore. Now, your peace is louder than their noise. Your calmness is your rebellion. Your self-control is your revolution. The world doesn't know what to do with someone who doesn't react, and that's your power. You've become untouchable, not because you're cold, but because you've learned to master your energy. You don't chase, you attract. You don't beg, you build. You don't fight for closure, you create it. You see, transformation isn't about becoming someone new. It's about remembering who you were before the world told you to forget. The child who believed, the soul who dreamed, the heart that loved without fear. Life breaks you just to reintroduce you to that version, purified, refined, wise. You're not the same because you've walked through illusions and found the truth. And now you move differently. You listen more, you speak less, you feel deeply but show little. You no longer seek to prove your worth because you finally know it. You've turned your pain into perspective, your silence into strategy, and the world can sense it. They feel the change, even if they can't name it. Because energy doesn't lie. Itachi was never truly gone. His essence lived on through the wisdom he left behind. That's what you're becoming too, a quiet legend. You may never explain your story to anyone, and you don't need to. The ones meant to understand will feel it. The rest, they'll just sense something unshakable in your eyes and call it mystery. But it's not mystery, it's mastery. You've mastered the art of detachment, the beauty of stillness, the strength of walking alone. And once you reach that level, you can never go back. You can't unsee truth. You can't unknow your worth. You can't unfeel your growth. That's why you'll never be the same again, because you've stepped out of survival and into sovereignty. There comes a point when silence becomes your loudest roar, when words no longer matter because your energy speaks for you. You've reached that point. The world used to test your patience. Now it tests your absence. You stopped explaining, and suddenly people began to notice. They began to feel the distance you built, not out of hate, but out of healing. That's when power shifts, when presence becomes a privilege, not a plea. You're not bitter anymore, you're aware. There's a difference. Bitterness keeps you chained to the story. Awareness frees you from it. It's the moment you realize you can forgive and still walk away, love and still let go, remember and still move on. You don't need closure from the ones who broke you. You've already closed the chapter by becoming someone they can no longer reach. That's not arrogance, that's ascension. Itachi Uchiha understood that silence can speak more than any argument ever could. When he bore the weight of his clan's destruction, he didn't justify himself. He didn't defend his name. He let history misunderstand him, because truth doesn't demand recognition, it simply survives. And that's what you've learned too, to let go of the need to be seen and instead focus on becoming something worth feeling. You've become quieter, not because you have nothing to say, but because you've learned that not everyone deserves to hear your thoughts. Your silence isn't empty, it's loaded with wisdom, restraint, and unspoken lessons. Every time you hold your tongue when you could have destroyed someone with your truth, That's not weakness. That's control. That's strength. The kind of strength Itachi carried in his eyes, a weight that could shatter anyone who looked too deeply, yet a calm that could comfort even his enemies. People often mistake your peace for pride. They think your distance means you stopped caring. But that's where they're wrong. You care too deeply, just not recklessly anymore. You've learned that love without boundaries leads to self-destruction. So now, you give from abundance, not from wounds. You've stopped proving your loyalty to those who were never loyal to your growth. You've stopped begging to be understood by those committed to misunderstanding you. You've simply outgrown them, and it hurts, doesn't it? Growth always does. It burns quietly, like a slow fire that consumes everything that can't survive your next level. You feel the loss of people who once meant the world to you, but you also feel something else, peace. That's the paradox of transformation. You lose what was never meant for your future, but gain everything your past couldn't hold. Itachi knew that pain. Every decision he made was soaked in loneliness, every step a sacrifice. But that's what made him transcendent. He didn't need applause to validate his purpose. His power wasn't loud, it was steady. You're learning to do the same, to walk through chaos untouched, to face conflict without reacting, to exist in storms and remain unmoved. That's not detachment, that's enlightenment. Because the truth is, once you awaken, you can never go back to who you were. You can't force yourself to unsee manipulation, to unhear lies, to unfeel betrayal. You start craving silence like oxygen. You start valuing energy more than words. You stop chasing what confuses you and start building what aligns with you. That's evolution in its purest form. When peace becomes your new addiction, you've stopped chasing happiness like a finish line because you finally understand happiness isn't a place, it's a pace. It's how you move through pain without losing yourself. It's choosing gratitude even when things fall apart. It's standing tall even when no one claps. It's the quiet knowing that you can rebuild as many times as it takes. That's the mindset of someone who's no longer afraid of breaking, because they know how to rebuild stronger each time. Itachi wasn't afraid of being misunderstood because he knew who he was beneath the world's noise. That's where you are now. You've learned that people's opinions are mirrors of their fears, not reflections of your truth. You've learned that solitude isn't loneliness, it's where you meet your real self. The one who doesn't need validation, attention, or permission. The one who exists beyond the mask. And maybe that's the reason you'll never be the same again, because now you understand the real meaning of power. Power isn't control over others, it's control over self. Power isn't forcing outcomes, it's trusting timing. Power isn't proving you're right, it's staying grounded when no one agrees. That's the kind of strength that can't be taught, only earned through loss, silence, and self-discovery. You don't crave the spotlight anymore because you've realized that light attracts both admiration and shadows. You've learned to be content being the flame, quiet, steady, self-sustaining, the ones meant to see it will. The rest will only feel its warmth or burn by its heat. That's the new you, the paradox of softness and steel, kindness and boundaries, peace and power. You've changed the way you handle everything. You used to react, now you respond. You used to chase answers, now you let time reveal them. You used to seek closure, now you are closure. You've learned that the most powerful revenge is peace. The most dangerous silence is the one filled with self-awareness. And the most unstoppable force is a soul that no longer seeks approval. Itachi Uchiha didn't become a legend because he sought greatness. He became one because he accepted suffering as his teacher. He became untouchable because he surrendered to truth. You're walking that same path now, not of imitation, but of realization. Because greatness isn't found in glory, it's born in grief. It's the art of turning pain into purpose, isolation into insight, scars into stories. And one day, when people look at you and wonder how you became so calm, so detached, so untouchable, you won't need to explain. They'll never understand the wars you fought in silence, the nights you broke and rebuilt, the days you walked away from everything that screamed for your attention just to protect your peace. You'll smile quietly because you'll know you earned this version of yourself. And that's why you'll never be the same again. Because this isn't healing anymore. This is rebirth. You've walked through the fire long enough to know that not everything meant to destroy you succeeds. Some things come only to sculpt you, to carve away everything that kept you small. You didn't just survive your storms, you became them. You are no longer the version of yourself that trembles in the face of uncertainty. You've seen what pain can do, and you've learned how to turn it into prophecy. That's why you'll never be the same again, because your silence now speaks louder than every word ever could. Itachi Uchiha carried that silence like a weapon. He didn't need to explain the truth. He was the truth, quiet, sharp, unbending. He moved through a world that hated what it didn't understand, and instead of fighting for acceptance, he became the mirror that exposed its weakness. That's what you're becoming to, the mirror. The reflection that shows others what they refuse to see in themselves. Your calm exposes their chaos, your peace unsettles their noise, your discipline threatens their comfort. That's the burden of those who evolve. Your very existence becomes a reminder of what others fear to face. But don't dim your light to make them comfortable. Don't shrink to be palatable. The same people who called you too much will one day wish they had your strength. The same ones who doubted your silence will look back and realize it wasn't weakness. It was transformation in motion. You were building something in the dark, a version of yourself that didn't need saving anymore. That's why your silence scares them now. Because silence backed by strength is power they can't manipulate. You see, most people only find themselves after they lose everything. It's strange, isn't it? We don't grow from comfort. We grow from collapse. Itachi lost his clan, his reputation, even his name, yet from that emptiness, he became immortal. You too have faced your losses, friendships that faded, love that turned to lessons, faith that crumbled into dust. But from that same ruin, you began to rebuild, and now you understand what he understood. Pain is not the opposite of peace. Pain is the path to it. Now, look at yourself. Every scar, every moment you thought you broke, it was never the end. It was preparation. You've endured, you've survived, and you've been forged by fire into someone unstoppable. Like Itachi, you carry silence as your weapon, patience as your power, and wisdom as your shield. Stop seeking approval. Stop begging for validation. Stop chasing what the world will never give you. Your strength isn't in what others see, it's in what they cannot touch. You've been tested, you've been wounded, and yet here you are, standing, breathing, rising. This is your moment. Not for them to notice, not for anyone to applaud, but for you to own the life only you can live. Walk in your truth, move with purpose, Let your presence speak louder than words ever could. World will call it quiet. You'll know its power. You were never broken. You were becoming, and now it's your time to rise.